Okay, once again, hello everyone, and welcome to the Events and Modes training webinar. My name is Jay Schmidt. I'm a project manager here at Mindware, and I will be presenting this webinar for you today. Okay, so today we're going to be covering multiple analysis modes, including time, event end time, along with some best practices, just some common pitfalls, things you want to make sure you're not doing. Okay, so basically we're going to be covering three different modes. It's going to be time, event, and then basically a combination of the two. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the setup screens for all three of those, very similar. And then the red highlighted boxes will kind of show you the area that we'll be working with for each mode. So this is the main setup screen for one of our analysis applications, HRV. But again, we have pretty much all of the same modes on all of our analysis applications. So if you know it in one, then you know it in the other. And so first mode we're going to do is time mode, as you can see here highlighted with the red box. And then we're also going to be working in the red box here for our segment time. So basically within this segment time here, we can choose our start time by simply clicking on this and then entering a start time. We can also just use this up and down arrow here. We can also say when we would like to end our time. Typically this will be the same as your file length, which you can see up here. And then we can also choose how long we'd like our segments to be. Typically, most people will do 60-second segments, but you're free to do less than that. 30 is also common. Anybody doing anything with RSA will make sure they don't want to go under 30 seconds. That's what you'll need to actually get a valid RSA, but anything else than that is up to you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the first basically mode of time mode, and then we'll kind of move forward through there. Okay, so this is basically a very simple time mode. As you can see on the bottom left, we have a start time of 0, our segment time is 60, and our end time is 300 seconds. And this right here, it's going to be different for each slide, but on this one we have basically a drawn diagram of an ECG that we created, and then below it we have an actual screenshot of the analysis application. That's that segment that you guys were just viewing. Sometimes it's a little bit bigger though, and we'll have to kind of split it up, but I'll walk you through it. So basically, yeah, so we've chosen 0, 60-second segments, and 300 total. So what you're looking at here is you have 3 segments, as you can see up top, with the different colors. And then you have 60 seconds on each segment right here, totally in 180. So this is pretty straightforward. Each segment would last exactly 60 seconds, very easy. Then that's exactly how you would view your data. Okay, this is basically another mode, and so in this instance what we've done is we've changed the start time. So now instead of starting at 0, we've started at 30 seconds, which you can see right here. And so what that's going to do is we're only going to view and then edit, export data from 30 seconds forward. This can sometimes be useful if you don't really care about the beginning time, say it's some sort of acclimation period or a baseline that you don't even want to record or look at, then you could just not even use that beginning section. Again, this is pretty straightforward, so not much to look at here. Okay, now this is going to be a little bit different. How I said we're going to show the screenshot and then the diagram, so just kind of work through it here and it'll make sense in a second. So if you'll notice here, again on the bottom left, we have a start time of 0, which is shown here, segment time, and then an end time of 150. So this is different than the other one in that we're not going to let the end time go to the length of the file, which is right here. We're actually going to end it at the 150. And so that's going to kind of change a few things. And if we look at the actual diagram, we'll see here that, yes, we want our segments to be 60 seconds. However, if you don't have 60 seconds on the end because you're only choosing 150 as your end time, then basically you're going to end up with some truncated data on the backside, only allowing 30 seconds in this example. And so this isn't something that's wrong, it's just something that you would definitely want to pay attention to if you're trying to view your data like this. Okay, so that is all of time mode. That's pretty straightforward mode to actually view your data in, but that is definitely not the only way to do so. So now we're going to navigate into event mode. If you look at the top here, you'll see that we've simply just clicked this and chosen the next option down, which is going to be an event. The next red box is going to be below that is our event mode here. This is where we're actually going to be working for all of our settings. And then now is a good time to pay special attention to your event list, which is over here to the left. So anything that we're doing here in event mode will definitely be correlated to your events on the left, and these are the controls for that. And so this is kind of a good time to bring in what actually events are. So events are digital markers that can be used in a few different ways to align your physiology with an external stimulus presentation program, such as ePrime, Superlab, MediaLab, DirectRT, Inquisit, MATLAB, all of those. And events can also be manually entered during the study if you're using our hardware or some similar hardwares. They'll let you basically enter keys on your keyboard that the experimenter can do to basically mark certain points during the experiment that you'd want to be, viewed during analysis. So something like, subject cough, subject touch an electrode, anything that'll give you some sort of motion artifact, in addition to anything that might inadvertently startle the subjects, such as like a loud noise, door slam, something like that. So there's a few different modes you can have. If we're looking at these specific ones that I have here over on the left, those are going to be basically all of the digital events. Those are automatically sent from the stimulus program into one of our BioNext chassis, and then it basically syncs it up. And so you can know, let's say I presented a stimulus with an event that in this instance happened at 20 seconds, then it would align with the physiology, and you'll see this nice little beautiful vertical marker that exactly when it was presented, and then you can see sort of the effect afterwards, 1 to 3 seconds afterwards for skin conductance, you would expect something. So that's basically what events are. So the first instance we're going to show you of event mode is going to be pre-event. And as you can see here, I have a screenshot of what that'll look like. And so this box right here is basically a screenshot of this middle box and with our settings in here. And we simply drag this down and chosen pre-event. One of the options in pre-event is you can choose how much time you'd like to view before the event occurred. This is helpful to look at some sort of anticipated, if they're going to expect something to happen, the subject might, then you could see, well, what happened before the event to see if they might have expected something to happen. So you can feel free to change this to whatever you'd like for how much time, but in this example, we've chosen 30 seconds. We want to view 30 seconds before the event. And this is pretty straightforward. Basically, the red vertical markers here are representing very similar to what you would see in the analysis application. And then basically the colors before that is showing how much time you'd be looking at. So pretty easy to understand that. The next segment we're going to be looking at is going to be the pre-event. And this is going to be similar as the last pre-event in that we're still looking at 30 seconds. However, if you'll notice on the left in my event log, you'll see that my first event actually only occurs at 15 seconds. So if I were to choose this, then it's only going to give me 15 seconds of data for that first guy because I can't go back 30 seconds. And we'll represent that on the next diagram here. So, segment 2, segment 3, those all occurred farther in time. As you can see here, 120, 180 seconds. However, segment 1 that occurred at 15 seconds, you're only going to get 15 seconds of data. So just because you put the setting in there for 30 doesn't mean that it's going to give you that. You need to make sense of it. So just something to be aware of. So again, this is another example of truncated data. Okay, next event mode we have is post-event. And this is very similar to the pre-event, and we've actually even chosen the same amount of time for this, which is 30 seconds. And I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like in the diagram. And again, very straightforward. Here's our events with the vertical red lines. And we have 30 seconds of data afterwards that we're looking at. This is very commonly used for anything, skin conductance, something like that, where you're trying to see, okay, my stimulus presented at the vertical red bars, and then what happens, 1 to 3 seconds afterwards, for instance, and then the time after that. So this is a very commonly used event mode. Okay, next one we're going to show you is, again, another example of truncated data that could occur. So in this example, we still have our 30 seconds of post-event time that we're looking at. We have a file length of 300 seconds, which we can see here once again. However, our event, our last event, occurred at 285 seconds. So what that means is, again, you're only going to be able to see 15 seconds in this example until the file is over. So you're not going to get 30 seconds in the last segment. And then you can see that here. You only have 15 seconds. Okay. Next mode is going to be pre and post. Pre and post is going to let you basically do a combination of the last two options. So you can look at any amount of time before, as long as it allows for it, and you can look at any time afterwards. So this is saying it's a total of 300 since my file size is 300 seconds. And for this example, we've chosen 10 seconds before the event occurred, and then we've also chosen 20 seconds after the event occurs. And this is, again, pretty straightforward, but here we go. So if we do this, basically we're going to split our data up into multiple segments. You want to know a segment of what happened pre, what happened afterwards or post, and it'll do this for each event that you have in there. So this is a little bit different in that you'll get different segments, but yeah, it's all the same data. Okay, next mode is going to be pre plus post. Again, this is very similar, but as you can show you, we have the same amount of time here, 10 and 20. And if we go to the document or to the diagram, this time is a little bit different than pre and post in that you're actually going to get this, you're going to be viewing the data of, in this example, 10 seconds before and 20 seconds after, except in this situation, you're actually going to get one segment for all of that. So this is a little bit cleaner if you're like, oh, I wanted to look at all of it in the same time frame. This is the mode that you would want to choose. Okay, this now is going to be event to event plus time. And this is another one that you'll want to pay attention to your events on the left. So event 1 occurred at 30 seconds, and then event 2 occurred at 120 seconds. And so if we do this option with a 30-second post-event time, what we'll observe is something similar to this. So it's going to give you your events occurred at 30 seconds, and then your other one, again, occurred at 120. But it's going to be split up into 30-second segments. Okay. Okay, once again, we're going to show you another example of how this event mode could be used to actually truncate some data in a situation you may or may not want. So if you look again, we've done 30 seconds post-event. However, we have events that occurred at 30 and 105 seconds. So if we look at our diagram, what that's going to do is it's going to start with our first event, which is what we wanted. And yes, we wanted to be in 30-second windows, so good. But then it happens to be that we don't have another 30 seconds left here. So then we're going to end up with another segment of only 15 seconds. Okay, this is another very simple, straightforward mode that is very commonly used, especially anybody using, the stimulus programs that we've talked about for the digital event markers. Event-to-event mode. So, and then we're going to look at the events on the left. So we have an event that occurred at 30, 90, 120, and 150 seconds. And what that's going to do, it's going to very simply and straightforward put our amount of time we're looking at between each event. So I'm looking from beginning of event 1 to event 2, and then from event 2 to event 3 and forward. Very easy. Okay, this is going to be now another mode known as a post event. And so there's a few more things to look at here, so we're going to spend a little bit more time on this. So what we've chosen is we want to be in post event. And instead of using all of the events, which we see in this red box here, we are going to use user defined. And so basically you just click in here and then you'll change it from all to user defined, and then it'll actually highlight this next field here, allowing you to put in whatever you'd like. And so all you'll need to do is click into that and then click the event on the left that you would like to choose. It'll all populate inside of this orange box just like this, and then you're ready to go. And so what that's going to do is give you a reading that would be very similar to this one right here. And so to explain this a little bit better, we have an event identifier up here. And so what this is going to do is going to give you the option to choose between type or name. And so if you choose type, then if we look over here, we have type as a column. And then so anything with the same event type, so event 1 is a type, and so we see that happen twice. We also see that event 2 is a type that happened twice. If you wanted it to be sorted throughout the name, then you simply come up here to the event identifier, drop that down to name, and then it will sort them based on the name here, so this column. So for this instance, though, we are only going to be looking at type, and we're going to be looking at event 1, as you can see labeled here. So what does that do? So what that does is it's going to show us 30 seconds post-event, which is, you can see here, and it's going to only do that for event types 1, and we've notated that here. So these are the event types 1 that you saw before. And it is going to ignore the event type 2s because we didn't choose that one. We said we only wanted to look at event type 1s. And so that's why you'll see the event type 2s. You can see the markers, and you'll be able to also see them in your analysis application. It's just not going to be processed in that manner. It's only going to be looking at segment 1 when you actually write the data. Okay? So this is an easy way to be like, I only want to see this type of stimulus. There it is. And then you can choose how much time. Okay, next mode is going to be the event-to-event with user defined. So this one is also a very handy mode. And what you'll see here is we have basically multiple events we've chosen. So you'll just, once again, go to event to event, choose the first event that you'd like it to start with. For this, we've chosen event 1, which is here in green. And then we've also chosen event type 2, which is event 4. And so there are other events that could be occurring between your event-to-event segment, but you will never see it if it's written in this manner, once again. So let's go ahead and look at that. So this is what this would do. So you're saying I want to look from event 1 to event 4, and I don't want to actually see anything from 2 or 3. So event 1 right here to event 4, but I don't want the 2 and 3 to make their own segment, basically. And so that's why it's done, 1 to 4. But you'll still see 2 and 3, but they won't actually be written in that manner. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go into a different mode, which is post-event. We've done that before. However, we're going to introduce the all instances checkbox. And you can see that right here in the orange box. And so we're going to show examples of this all instances enabled and disabled. So if it doesn't make sense to you in the beginning, then it will definitely by the end. So in this example, again, we're looking at post-event. We're looking at 30 seconds after that event. And we've selected that the second event, 1, because they're all the same name. So this is something that could occur to you where you have the same name for every one of your events or multiple. But you've seen that we're actually chosen the one that occurred at 75 seconds, which you can see here. And so we'll show you here in a second what's going to happen there. But basically, you just want to kind of pay attention to the fact that, yes, we're looking at event identifiers or type, and all of our types are the same. Okay? So let's go to the diagram. So what that did was, since we chose the one that happened at 75 seconds, and these are kind of crude diagrams, not exactly at the right timing, so Bear with me there a little bit on that. But so what you're going to do basically is we've chosen the one to start at 75 seconds. So we're going to say that this is this segment. And then we're going to go at every one forward. Because basically we said that all instances we have been disabled. We did not include that. So let's look back. So here we are, and yep. So here we are, and basically we've chosen the one at 75, not the one at 30. And so that's why when you look at your diagram, you're going to see the one at 30, but it's not going to actually show you the data for that. It's going to show you the data from the one at 75 and forward. So this is what we're going to do, the same data set, same mode, 30 seconds afterwards, but we're going to show all instances. So things we've done, the big thing we've done now is we've checked this box. We said, I want to see all instances of event 1. And so what that means is even if we have selected the second event, even if we've done this one, as you can see, the one at 75 seconds, it's still going to include the instance, all instances within this event file that are called event 1. This is handy when researchers are like, okay, I don't want to look through 255 events for every iteration of event 1. I want to just click on one and then have it include it all. It's a lot easier way to do it. So what that does is, again, here's our first event that occurred at 30, but now we're actually viewing the data that occurred in 30 seconds post-event, including all of the ones forward, which is these two. Alrighty. Now I'd like to show you a specific situation that could occur. This isn't necessarily bad. Some people would like to see this. Most probably would not, so it's just something you need to pay attention to if you're using post-event mode. So this is sort of known as event overlapping, and the slide is being shown to highlight basically the potential issue that could arise in this mode. So what this would result in is basically viewing the same portion of the same data on multiple segments. So as you'll look at the top here, I have segment 1 and I have segment 2. But if you'll notice in this burgundy red is segment 1, but it's also part of this browner section in the middle. And then segment 2 is this blue, which is also part of the brown section in the middle, sort of like a Venn diagram. So the brown section, if you're seeing that, is basically shared. You're going to see that same data, the physiological data, on multiple segments. That's sometimes you wouldn't want that, sometimes you would. Just something you need to be conscientious of. So this occurs when one segment, let's say this first one, or one event, I'm sorry, occurred less than the 30-second segment, which we set here. If we wanted to do this differently, what we could do is we could come in there and then say less than 30 seconds, something like maybe 15, and then we wouldn't get any event overlapping. Okay? Or you could, again, just change the way that your study is designed. If you wanted to still look at 30 seconds, just make sure that events are, no less than 30 seconds apart. Okay, now we're going to switch into a different mode. We're going to be looking at event to event once again, and we've disabled all of our all instances checkbox, which is here. And let's see here, and then user defined. Okay, cool. And so what we've done here is we have event 1 that occurred twice, and then we have event 2. And so we've chosen event 1 that occurred at 30 seconds, and we've chosen event 2 with the only iteration, but it occurred at 120 seconds. And what that does to our data is it creates one segment, and it creates it from the first iteration of event 1 all the way to event 2. So event 1 all the way to event 2, 30 to 120 seconds. Okay, and that creates one segment. Another possibility we could do is to enable all instances. So as you see here, we've enabled that. We've still chosen the 30 seconds and the 120 seconds here and here. But the difference, which all instances makes happen, is that now we have two segments. We have from the first time segment 1 occurred, which was at 30 seconds, to I think it was 120 seconds. And then we create a second segment down here, which we've notated, which will occur from the second time that event 1 occurred to event number 2. So that's sort of a way to sort of be like, I want to see every time event 1 occurred to every time that event 2, or some sort of recovery event, whatever you've chosen. So it'll basically break it up in 2 different ways. That is the all instances. Okay, so now we have one final mode that we're going to cover, which is event and time. This is the settings screen once again, and now we're going to be working down here for our settings. And basically it's going to give us a few options. It's going to say, the event to use, and in this instance we say an all. And then it'll also let you choose the segment time down here. This mode is particularly helpful if you wanted to, say, start your analyses at a specific event and then move forward in time from there forward. So I want to start with, let's say, F1 over here on my left, and then I want to move in 30 seconds after that. Okay, so let's view what that does. This again is another way to do this. This is a specific event we've chosen outside of the settings, so here we go. So we've now chosen this to be user defined. In this example it's been all, so you simply just click on that and drop it down. We've left our segment time at 30 seconds, and we're choosing the second occurrence of event 1, not the first one, and this occurs at 90 seconds, and you can see that's filled in here. And so what that'll do is it's going to basically ignore the first time that event 1 is used because, again, we didn't want that one. We wanted the one that occurred in 90 seconds. And we're going to say that's here. And then it's going to move forward in 30-second intervals and create segments of those. So even though there's another event 2 that occurred here, and there's another event 1 that occurred here, here and here, we're still only going to keep our timing in reference to the first one that we chose, because it's basically event and time. So starting with event and then time. And then that's what you'll get. So again, you'll still see when these events occurred in the actual analysis application, but when you actually write them as segments, it's not going to include those. It's basically going to include the regards to time. Okay. And that is all of it. Quite a bit to cover, and I know a lot of it was probably a little bit too fast to sort of, put it into understanding of how your specific paradigm works. So if anybody has any questions, again, now we're going to take about a half hour to answer those questions. We can go back into this PowerPoint basically and show you the same slide again. But we're also going to create a knowledge base article on this. We're still working on that, so it's not quite on our site yet. But if you do visit our support portal, then you'll see it soon. If you haven't, I strongly recommend you do. This is a really good way to get some immediate feedback on some questions you guys might have. And so please visit that. It's just support@mindwaretech.com. And yeah, there's a few articles in there. This one will be on it. There's some more sciencey blogs on there on how to edit other things. So yeah, please do that. Anybody that's leaving now or anybody that's leaving in a little bit, you're going to get a request for a survey. Please fill those out. We actually really do read those and adapt our future webinars based on the suggestions. So again, please do that for us. So great. So now at this point, we're going to go ahead and open it up to Q&A and answer any specific questions you guys have. Okay, we do have a question about if you can use event mode without an event file. And so I'm going to show you that real quickly. And so I'm going to pull over HRV for you. So I'm going to open up a file, which is this here. And we'll see that we have some channels mapped here. We have an ECG, Z0. You would normally want to fill these in. And then we have a sync summary one. So then basically what we want to choose for that is event. And then that'll basically allow us to view this sync summary event port or channel as events within the file. As you can see, just like that. So we still have our sync summary events. So these are basically those digital events. I think we have another question here about If you're using parallel port triggers to event type and event time, would you be able to show an example of that? So this would be a good example of something that would look similar to a parallel port digital events, where it's just simply sending in the sync summary events with the timing, and then you're free to choose what you want to do with all your events from there. So right here, if we go ahead and actually view this, we're going to be still viewing our sync summary events without actually populating an event list. Okay, we have another question here about if using a stimulus presentation program such as DirectRT or Biolab, how do I display display the stimuli? Where can I get information on how the two programs communicate? Okay, so how you're going to do all of this if you're also using Biolab. Let me please open this up here. We started from the main configuration screen, and then I've chosen over to the event tab. And so what you'll need to do basically to communicate the DirectRT and Biolab is you're going to come in and then choose it down to summary off of the off. That'll open up this event file table. And then as you might have seen here, all I needed to do was come into these and edit them to be like whatever I wanted them to be, the same slide that you created in your stimulus program. And then you'll want to basically make the same value, your same byte value that the stimulus presentation program is sending through the parallel port. You want to make that same value, the same here in Biolab. And then whenever that value is sent through, then this event will then populate, just like the ones that we saw in the demonstrations. Those vertical, basically event markers would then show baseline end and baseline start. Should be start. And so that's how the two communicate. We also have a support article on this, specifically with ePrime on how to make that work. And basically that's going to show you like some of the intricacies of making sure you have the right parallel port selected and stuff like that. Okay, now we have another request that we could demonstrate the event mode pre and post. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that for everyone in our actual application. So I have HRV here. I've loaded a file, and we'll see that I have selected this first one. Again, just to change these, you just simply need to click on them, and then it'll fill into the field here. So pre-event time is right there. I'm going to go ahead and choose something different, maybe like 10 seconds. And then post-event time is 20, so let's go ahead and change that there. As you'll notice, I have my all instances selected. I don't want to use this in this specific example, so I'm going to uncheck that, and then we'll go ahead and hit Analyze. Okay, and so what that's done is it started it with that first event that I've selected. It showed me the time that before that I've wanted, and then all of the time afterwards, and you'll see the ECG behind there. Okay, we have another question here, which is asking, can you give an example of when using type might be better than using name as identifier? So again, what we're speaking to that is right here, so name or type. So it might be better to use something as such as like if you have triggers coming in from multiple sources, then you might want to use type as the identifier. This will kind of allow you to compare the events coming in from a stimulus system or keyboard independently. You'll be able to basically say, oh, this one was the synchronous and this one was a keyboard event. And those will have two different types, and they could have the same name. Okay, now we're going to just go ahead and demonstrate something while we're still waiting for additional questions to come through. So this is going to be basically showing you how editing in multiple modes can work. And so if we choose something like an event mode that we're in right now, let's just go to something simple like event to event. And let's just go ahead and choose all of these. And let's go ahead and analyze. And so what we'll see here is that it's going to basically start at the acquisition start, which is the first event for me. And then it's going to end at the last event right there. So and then it's going to basically just go through and then just go from one event to the next. And so one thing you can do is, if you wanted to, you could always delete, or I'm sorry, you could always edit in multiple modes. So if you wanted to edit here and then be done, it's going to ask me if I'd like to save it, as you can see here. And then what you can do is you can always come back and then re-edit that in a different mode and then still view it. Okay, we do have a question here of when to use the auto-analyze basically function. And you'll see this auto-analyze right here. And so question is, when should I use it? So I would basically suggest that it almost never be used. It's sort of an easy way to have the application auto-write all of the segments for you. But it's also going to just edit, it's just going to write them as is without any sort of editing. So one instance in which you could use it would be if you've already come in here, and I'll show you. So if you've already come in here and you've done all your editing and you've seen that everything's fine, and let's say like I wanted to come in here and edit some R's, I would say these weren't points, these all look fine, but I'm just going to make some edits just to show you. So if I were to say that and say done, it's going to basically ask me to then save my edited data file somewhere. So if I go ahead and save that, then those edits have been made. So if I were to reload that file, basically, let's go ahead and reload that. Well, we're back in it anyways. So. Okay, so yeah, we'll just show that. So okay, this is going to be reloaded. So if we were going to then basically look at that again, we see that the edits are still there. My EDH file loaded, which is right here. We can see that it's saved here, and so I'm pulling from that edited data file. And so in this instance, if you wanted to, because all the edits have already been made, you could go ahead and then say auto-analyze all segments. And what's going to do is, instead of you having to go through every segment and say next and write, you can simply just come in here. It'll say, create a new Excel page, and then it's going to go through every one of those automatically and then write them for me. And then as soon as it's done, we'll see the Excel pop up right here, and then all of my segments will be filled in for me. Again, this isn't a shortcut. This is definitely something you wouldn't want to do unless you've already looked at the data. Another reason you might want to use this is if you've completely written everything out and you've written everything to Excel, and you would also like to see, what % difference that you've made, the edits you've made have changed the data. Then you could write it all out and then have auto-analyze do it, and then you would see what the editing you've done, what changes, what effect it's actually made. So that's one way you could do it. But you definitely wouldn't want to start from the beginning and just let it auto-analyze. That would be incorrect to do. Okay, so since it's 1:30 here Eastern Time, we are going to go ahead and end the webinar. Again, thank you everyone for attending. If you have any additional questions, you can go ahead and submit those through our support portal. Right there, you'll see how you can actually look at more answers to some of your questions. You can see upcoming training events, including additional webinars and everything like that. And again, please, everyone, if you could, please fill out the survey. Then we could actually, again, adapt our future webinars a little bit better. So thank you, everyone, for attending, and everyone have a great day.